Hey guys, it's Gabby. Hello. So I know I've been gone for a very long time, over 2 years at this point, which is absurd. I understand, trust me. I had tried to upload again to YouTube so many times, but I just kept getting discouraged, or I felt like, what's the point of coming back now? Or I have nothing to say, I have nothing to add. So it was like, what's the point of me? It was just kind of like, what's the point? I have a whole list of where I've been for the past 2 years so that you guys can kind of get caught up and you just know what's been going on with me. And I didn't just disappear for no reason. So my last video I uploaded was on August 17th, 2020, all right? So it was in the thick of COVID. We were living in an apartment and it was just me, Holden, and Silas. Silas was maybe 9-ish months, 8-9 months at that time. So he was still really young. He didn't even know how to walk or barely even crawl yet. He was super young, right? And I was in undergrad school. So I was almost done. So I was a kind of junior, kind of senior at that point. And I was just taking 5 classes, just trying to get through my degree as fast as I could. So I was very busy. Then in October 2020, we moved in with my parents because we were in Virginia at this time still. And I was, again, still in undergrad. And we just didn't know where we were going. We were saving up for a house. We were saving up to move out. We just didn't know where we wanted to move. And so yeah, we were just living with my parents. They have a part of their house where it's kind of a whole separate apartment basically, but it's attached to the house. So it's its own little ensuite area. Then in December 2020, we found a house that we could actually afford, and we purchased it, but it wasn't in Virginia. We went to Minnesota. So Holden's family, if you guys remember at all, is from Minnesota. He grew up, born and raised in Minnesota, super up north where it's almost Canada. And so it's super expensive to live in Minnesota in general, no matter where you are in Minnesota. But we moved to the city because I was not moving to a rural area. He's from a very rural, small town, and I'm not a small town girl. I would have died. We went a lot farther south. We went to Minneapolis, so as big in the city as you could be in Minnesota. I applied to the University of Minnesota. So at this point, I was still in undergrad, but since COVID and stuff was still happening, all my classes were online, so that's why we were able to move to Minnesota, even though I was in school in Virginia still technically. So I was like, it's perfect. We can still have the house that we can afford, but I can still be in school and finish my degree on time. So we packed up our bags, loaded up a U-Haul with the little bit of furniture that we had. It was divided into 2 days, of course, because it's a 20-something hour ride. It's almost a full 2 days of driving, and we obviously had a baby with us. We had Silas, and we were we're not driving that long. So we drove 8 hours and then 10 hours or something like that. And then we signed for our house. We moved in the next day, and we had our first home. We were homeowners for the first time, and it was right after Christmas, so it was a nice little late Christmas gift to ourselves. We started off the new year in our new house, and as our little family of 3, just beginning our lives, in Minneapolis. Then in February of 2021, so now it's a new year, we're in Minnesota, and we decided to have our second kid. So in February, I found out I was pregnant with Dominic, who you guys have not met yet, but we call him D. So if you hear me say D, it's because that's his nickname. We were trying for about 2 months because we knew that once Silas turned a year old, if our finances were right and we had our own house, we wanted to have our second kid, because I really wanted that 2 under 2 thing, the super trendy 2 under 2 that everybody's pretty much doing. So I really wanted to do that as well because I'm really far apart from my siblings. I didn't want that for my family. So I wanted to make sure I had them close together, as close as my body would allow. And so I waited a year because I had a C-section, so I wanted to wait a year. And so I got pregnant after Bubs turned, he was a year and 2 months. And then I got pregnant with D. So February was a very happy month for us because I finally got pregnant. And then in May of 2021, I finally graduated from undergrad after 6 years of being in school and back and forth and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. So I got my bachelor's in English with a film and media concentration. So I was officially a college graduate, and then I went right into grad school because, as I mentioned before, I applied to the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, which is a school in the cities. It has a few different campuses and stuff. I started there literally a month after I graduated, so I was pretty much just back to back in school. I've been in school my entire life, literally, so I just love being a student. So I started at the U, and I started to get my Master's of Education in secondary education, so I could be a high school teacher. This program was only a year long, and it was in the city, and I was like, it's perfect. Only takes a year more of my life to get a master's degree. Sounds good to me. So there I was, 5 months pregnant, starting my graduate degree, and walked around campus with my big old belly. So Silas also started daycare at this point because I wanted him to interact with kids, because at this point he'd only been with us his entire life. And so I wanted him to be able to have like a nice childhood where he interacts with other children. So he went to daycare because the U gave grants to students who had babies and needed childcare. And so we were like, well, might as well use this grant, go to daycare for free. And so he went to a really nice daycare for about 6-ish months, and he loved it. It was great. I mean, he was sick all the time, but that happens at every daycare. So we were sick perpetually for like 6 months basically, which was terrible. So now the fall comes around and I'm giving birth to our second son. Of course, I'm having another boy, and his name is Dominic, as I mentioned earlier. And we gave birth, I gave birth on October 12th of 2021, a day before my mom's birthday. So one of my kids steals another person's birthday, because if you don't know, Silas was born a day after Holden's birthday, and now my son, Dominic, was born a day before my mom's birthday and on my husband's grandma's birthday. So my kids just love stealing birthdays, basically. So yeah, I gave birth at 37 weeks in the city, and I got to have the perfect birth, exactly what I wanted the first time around. Well, not exactly, but like pretty close to what I wanted my birth experience to be like the first time with Silas. If you guys don't remember, Silas was a very early C-section, emergency C-section. And then we had to be in the NICU and live at the hospital for 6 weeks, which was not fun at all. So that whole experience was a big mess, you know? But with Dominic, I got to have my all-natural, unmedicated vaginal birth like how I wanted to, at a birth center, and it was very nice. It was just exactly what I wanted it to be, and I got to birth being on all fours like how I wanted to, and it was just pretty much as well as it could have gone. Then 2 weeks postpartum, I actually started my like student teaching kind of, or at least transitioning into that student teaching part of getting your master's in education. And so I started working at the local high school that was near our house, and I only went there like once or twice a week just to get a feel for like the classroom and stuff and meet my co-teacher and things like that. So immediately after giving birth, I was right back to school and work and stuff. I only took 2 weeks off because I didn't want to fall too behind, and I'm just crazy like that. I'm a very like go type of person. I don't like just laying around doing nothing, and Dominic's sleeping all the time, you know, he's only 2 weeks old. Babies don't do much when they're that young. So I felt great also, like physically, like my body felt like it was ready to just get back into the swing of things. So basically I just went right back into regular life 2 weeks after Dee was born. So then you fast forward a little bit, I'm getting into student teaching. I'm being a full-time teacher come like the springtime. So at about February of this year, so 2022, I decided that I do not want to live in Minnesota anymore. Well, me and Holden both decided. We just thought it was way too cold. We're too far away from family. We were close to Holden's family, but still not like close enough because we were in the city, which was further south, like in the middle of Minnesota, and they lived like all the way up north. They were 4 hours away, you know, they might as well have lived in another state. So we were like, it's not really worth it for us to live here. It's cold 8 months out of the year. Our family's far away. My family's even further away in Virginia. Like, there's just no point of us staying here, even though it isn't expensive to live here, which was the one upside. Overall, it was just like not the place for us. Minnesota was very beautiful, so don't hate me if you live in Minnesota, okay? I'm not hating on your state, okay? I lived there for a year and a half. It was beautiful, it was great, but it was too cold, too far away from family. So we decided to start selling our house. So we started like fixing things up, making things look nice and get ready to put it on the market. But then come June, we sell our house. I fly to Virginia. I started looking at houses for us and just getting a scope of the land, seeing what we could afford, seeing houses in person, because we were not buying a house online again. We bought our house in Minnesota completely online. We didn't see it in person at all. We sent Holden's parents to go see it. Well, his mom and his stepdad to go see it. And we'll never do that again, is what I'm saying. We'll never buy a house without seeing it ever again. But it was during COVID times, you know, and I didn't want to fly to Minnesota and check out this house in person if we had family there that could go see it. Anyway, so in June, I flew to Virginia, or no, in April, May, I flew to Virginia, stayed with my parents, went to go see some houses, and then in June, we actually signed for our house, which is the one that we live in right now. So we are back in Virginia. We own our second home now. We sold our first one. We moved here almost immediately after. We had to live with my parents for about a month again because our pod with all of our furniture and stuff didn't get here in time. So we had to live with them. And then in June, At this point, I'd graduated from grad school. I still have one class left, which I'm taking right now as we speak. So I'm not technically a grad student graduate, but I graduated from grad school. So we moved right after that, and I was done with student teaching. Everything was done. In June, we also went on a super crazy long but super fun trip to Europe. It was our early 5-year anniversary gift to ourselves, and just like a congratulations to myself also for graduating grad school and doing what I needed to do to provide for our family and just get the education that I wanted and feel like I needed. So it was just like a bunch of stuff kind of rolled into one, just a big gift for ourselves for everything that we've done for the past like year. And so we went to Europe. We visited 9 countries in 12 days, and I didn't really vlog much because of course I wasn't really doing YouTube, so I was like, what's the point? But yeah, we visited, I can't remember all the places, but it was a lot of fun. We went to Germany, Switzerland, France, England, we went to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam, where else? We went to Austria, Italy, of course. Germany, I probably had the most fun in, because after that, we pretty much, everybody on the trip's health just like declined because we were all like sick and partying and hungover, and it was just a bunch of stuff, you know? So after Germany, it kind of went downhill, but it was fun and it was great and I loved it. We missed our babies so much because 12 days is a long time to be away from our kids. We've never been away from them for more than a day. We needed it. It was amazing. And my parents watched the kids for all 12 days, and my abuela came. She flew up from Miami and watched them with my mom and stuff. And so they gave us those 12 days to just decompress and relax and enjoy ourselves. Then in July, I got a full-time job as a high school teacher at our local high school. I was just applying to be a sub because I had my license in Minnesota and stuff, and I was like, might as well use it. And so I applied to be a sub so I can like transition into teaching, but they needed teachers really bad. I mean, everywhere in the country does, but they were like, do you want to be a full-time, like a full teacher? So I ended up getting a full-time teaching position as the high school teacher for grades 10 through 12. So I was teaching 3 grades. I was a teacher for a whole month. In September, I ended up leaving that job. Apparently, teaching is not for me. So if you saw my Instagram story, you guys would know that I'm no longer a teacher. So that lasted a good 5-6 weeks. So I think I'm definitely more of a student. I'm a lifetime student, that's for sure, because when it came to being on the other side of that, being a teacher was just, it was a lot. I think subbing might be more my pace and my like vibes, you know? It was fun while it lasted, but I wasn't as happy as I could be, and I refused to be unhappy. So I left that job, and if I want to go back as a sub, I can. I'm still like able to if I want to, so I might go back to subbing, who knows? Maybe once the boys are in school, I'll be a sub and just do that as my job. But as of right now, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, watching my babies, and still finishing up grad school, kind of, basically. I have one more class left. That brings us to now, which is October of 2022. We are in our new house. We're finishing up our basement. Dominic turned 1 this month, so we had a cute little birthday party from him. If you saw that on Instagram, everything that I'm mentioning, you've already seen on Instagram if you do follow me on there. But for those of you who don't, I just want to give a quick recap of the past 2 years so that you guys aren't like, so you're really not going to explain yourself, because I know I like to hear an explanation when people are just like wiped off the face of the earth for a while. So thank you so much for sticking with me. I appreciate you guys watching this video. I hope you guys are happy that we're back. That's pretty much all that I have to report to you all. My videos moving forward, I'm doing a lot of stuff to the house. Like I mentioned before, we're finishing up the basement right now. It should probably be done like this week or next. So that will be really nice and fun. And then I'm also doing a lot of painting. I'm doing Silas's room right now. I'm just kind of slowly making this house of ours into our home, you know, a place that we can spend the next 15 to hopefully 20 years. So that is all from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope it explains where I've been for the past 2 years in a nice brief overview. I plan to upload consistently now, all right? Hold me to that. But that is all for me today. I will see you guys next week. Bye. What videos do you want to see from me next? Do you want to see my birth vlog from a year ago? Do you want to see home renovation and like update videos, just family vlogs? You know, what do you want to see from me?